I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
A new immigration law goes into effect in Arizona, and there are protests in New York.
All of us recognize this is beyond just any one policy issue. This is an issue of hearts and minds in our country.
A bishop whose diocese lies along the Mexican border speaks out. Plus, we'll hear what you think about immigration.
It's unenforceable because you can't tell what an immigrant should look like.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, tonight the world is reacting to Arizona and its controversial new immigration law. From one coast to another, it seems everyone has an opinion. Tonight, we devote most of our broadcast to an issue that has galvanized and polarized much of the country. And we begin right here in the city of immigrants.
We do. Hundreds of people on both sides of the issue, including civic and religious leaders, converged at Foley Square in Manhattan today. Though a judge has blocked some parts of the law, such as requiring that immigrants carry papers at all times and that police verify the status of anyone they stop, activists wanted their voices to be heard. We wanted to hear what they had to say, and we took our cameras into the heart of today's protest. Protesters flooded over the Brooklyn Bridge and poured into the streets of Lower Manhattan today to express their opposition to the immigration law in Arizona, even though a federal judge removed some of its more controversial language. But while most people in today's march agree this is a step in the right direction, they argue there is a larger point.
Certainly we're celebrating, but I think all of us recognize this is beyond just any one policy issue. This is an issue of hearts and minds in our country.
Why should we come back to this? Why are we going back to 150 years of Jim Crow?
Also present, supporters of the immigration law who wanted their point of view represented as well.
I'm an immigrant. How can I be against immigration? We need immigrants. I'm not anti-immigrant. All I'm saying is, what we're all saying is, enforce the law.
But many of those opposed to the law are concerned it represents a slippery slope.
We've been seeing this for a while. We've been seeing, since 9/11, but before, this increasing way in which immigrants are becoming the scapegoat for our true economic problems in this country. But what we saw in Arizona was the ultimate extreme of what that would mean. What you see is literally a police state where anybody who doesn't look like they're from here is allowed to be picked up and literally, as they say on TV, it's the papers, please, bill.
And some protesters claim secure borders will not fix what they see as the underlying problem.
Skin colors are targeted. And that's why the law was made like that. So it's not what you did, it's who you look like.
It's got nothing to do with race. Race has got nothing to do with protecting our borders. Everyone and their brother is coming in. I mean, let's get this word profiling out of it. If someone's standing on, I live in Flushing right now. When I come out in the morning, all along Northern Boulevard, and it runs for miles, is groups of men who are obviously day laborers, looking for the Koreans or the Chinese to come and pick them up and give them a day's work. Is that racial profiling? No, I know they are illegal immigrants.
My family became migrant workers, and all of them were farmers who got in huge buses and waited by the side of the road with knapsacks just like that to be able to pull into work. So this is not purely a pure sign that these are immigrants on the side of the road.
Still, supporters of the bill say there are injustices that aren't being taken into account.
They're actually being taken advantage of. They're slave labor. We're going back to slavery.
Others point toward the words of Christ.
He says that whenever you take care of the least of these, whenever you visit any of your strangers, your neighbors in prison, you are doing this for me. To sit back and say we're a Christian nation, to say we're Christian churches, and to not be immediately doing what Jesus says to do to him is empty worship.
One thing is certain. This hotly debated issue is not going away anytime soon.
We are people, and it is the immigrant movement that build this country.
So we will continue to march, and we will continue to rally, and continue to have conversations. And while they try to vilify our side, I think we're going to keep reaching out to them in understanding and in love.
Well, stay with us. We have the other day's news ahead, and we'll also have much more on the immigration issue, including reaction from around the country. But first, some reaction from you. Last weekend, we visited a parish in Staten Island to ask people their thoughts on immigration and Arizona's new law.
A lot of people are going to be always on the defense, like, why are you stopping me? They might get violent.
Is there something that we can do to help restore the government of Mexico instead of, building the walls, instead of setting up all these laws on our end?
Honestly, it brings back memories of the riots of 1992 in Los Angeles.
It's unenforceable because you can't tell what an immigrant should look like.
You have to follow the rule of the country that you have to go to.
It kind of reminds me of the Nazi regime, having all the Jews carry around, their papers.
Well, I'm not very fond of it because I think it's violating our constitutional rights.
Welcome back. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, other voices from around the country speak out about Arizona's new immigration law.
But first, let's take a look at some of the day's headlines. On Capitol Hill, Senate Democrats are trying to get religion and get support for key legislation. At a media roundtable yesterday, Senator Debbie Stabenow of Michigan said she believes most of the faith community supports Democratic policies on immigration, health care, and clean energy. But she said religious groups need to play a larger role in showing support to fend off Republican opposition. Senators conceded, however, that there is a limit in how far faith leaders can go in their advocacy. Also on Capitol Hill, 13 Republican senators have written to the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, urging immediate assistance to ensure that federal funds will not be used to pay for elective abortions. The letter, dated yesterday, indicated that abortion funding restrictions in the new health care legislation did not go far enough. The letter cited a memo from the Congressional Research Office indicating that in some cases, HHS guidelines do not specifically prohibit the use of federal funds for abortion. President Obama is bringing us closer to the apocalypse. So says a man who has made his living writing about the rapture and the end times, evangelical minister Tim LaHaye. LaHaye, author of the best-selling Left Behind series of books, accused Obama of introducing raw socialism. When asked by talk show host Mike Huckabee on Fox if we are living in the end times, LaHaye replied, "Very definitely." Meantime, LaHaye's co-author of the Left Behind series is weighing in on an unusual effort in Colorado to spread the word that the end is near. Jeanette Hines has more from Colorado Springs.
While waiting for your next bus, you may have an urge to prepare yourself to wait for Jesus. This bus bench says, "Save the date, Return of Christ, May 21st, 2011. Marie Exley of Colorado Springs paid for these ads with her own money after seeing a similar billboard in Texas, even though she's in between jobs.
I decided to try to go out on my own and do what I could to get the message out myself.
She says her job until Judgment Day is to spread the word.
It's basically by faith, that I'm going out there and, putting myself out there. I'm going to allow people to think that I'm crazy. I mean, I'm sure people in Noah's day thought he was crazy.
Jerry Jenkins co-authored the fictional Left Behind book series, which chronicles the Earth's final days. Jenkins says he believes we should also be ready for the return of Christ, but he doesn't believe in a set date.
If Jesus himself doesn't know when he's returning, I don't think we know either.
Exley says people need to look closely at the Bible.
There's more to it than just what that one particular verse says.
I think it's folly to predict the timing. But yeah, I think it's a great discussion. And as I say, I applaud anybody that brings up the subject.
As you wait, save the date. By the way, that's a Saturday.
And that is reporter Jeanette Hines in Colorado Springs.
The people are hopeful. Those were the words of Bishop DiMarzio from Haiti yesterday. The bishop spoke by phone with the Catholic News Service during a visit to the earthquake-ravaged country. Bishop DiMarzio was visiting the country with a delegation of Catholic leaders from the U.S., and he said it appears that many Haitians will continue to live in substandard housing for at least another 6 months. But he also said that cash for work programs coordinated by various Catholic relief agencies are bolstering Haiti's economy. Well, back in this country, the debate over same-sex marriage has been raging in many states, and yesterday it came to Minnesota, where both sides held a rally in St. Paul, as Jenna Shortle reports.
Standing in the shadow of the People's House, the people wanted to be heard.
One man, one woman, one man, one woman.
On both sides of this divisive issue.
I think the time will come. I just hope we live long enough to see it.
The Capitol grounds have been the ring for this debate time and again over the last decade. Today, the National Organization for Marriage brought its mission to St. Paul.
Minnesota is a key state in the battle over marriage.
Right now, there are at least 6 pieces of legislation in our Capitol House to give gay and lesbian people rights to marry in one way or another. This tour, dubbed the Summer for Marriage Express, came to Minnesota to rally its troops to fight.
We will stand up in love for this simple truth that marriage is something, and that thing which it is the union of one man and one woman. It's that simple.
But on the inside of the People's House,
Are you ready to end discrimination in Minnesota?
those in support of same-sex marriage spoke up too.
And the nature of God is that everybody has the right to fall in love, to enter relationships of mutuality, of justice and respect.
Both sides kept to their own sides for the most part until the inside rally finished and spilled outside. There were tense moments where each side was trying to censor the other, and a debate where it is hard for some to agree to disagree.
One man and one woman.
These people need to realize that they're going to be on the wrong side of history.
That is Jana Shortle reporting. Well, while summertime blockbusters like Toy Story 3 and Inception may be dominating the box office these days, another movie is set to be released soon that will offer audiences something altogether different. It's called There Be Dragons and tells the story of Saint Josemaria Escriva, the founder of Opus Dei. We get a first look now from Rome Reports.
The movie There Be Dragons is about to debut in movie theaters around the world. With the trailer already out, everything is ready for its release in the spring of 2011. Roland Joffé, director of the film and other great hits like The Mission and The Killing Fields, is completing the final version of the film, which takes viewers to Madrid in 1936, in the midst of the Spanish Civil War. Josemaria and Manolo, friends since childhood, are caught up in the Spanish Civil War, which separates them. Years later, Robert, son of Manolo, learns about the friendship his father had with Josemaria, who was ordained a priest and founded Opus Dei. The film features an all-star cast and will debut in movie theaters in just a few months.
And finally, best-selling author Anne Rice made her name writing about vampires, then made a dramatic conversion to the Catholicism of her youth. She wrote a best-selling book about that called Out of Darkness. But now it appears she's changed her mind. Yesterday on her Facebook page, she announced, "I quit being a Christian." As Rice put it, quote, "In the name of Christ, I refuse to be anti-gay. I refuse to be anti-feminist. I refuse to be anti-artificial birth control. I refuse to be anti-Democrat." However, she added, quote, "I remain committed to Christ as always, but not to being Christian." Well, stay with us. There's much more currents coming up straight ahead. But first, some more thoughts on immigration and the new law in Arizona.
I, as Hispanic, I will feel very offended if I was stopped in a negative way.
There has to be some harassment to people based on their appearance, which is clearly not just in any way.
It's going to cause more problems than it's intended to solve.
And nobody likes to be questioned. The reason why we're here in America is because we're here to be free.
Fear and misunderstanding and mistrust.
Well, when does this stop? Is it with papers? Is it with are you employed? Is it loitering? Is it your skin color, the way you're behaving, the way you look, the way you dress?
I think it's creating more problems than it's solving.
Welcome back. Late yesterday, the bishops of Arizona released a statement supporting the restrictions on Arizona's immigration bill. They voiced the hope that the reaction to the bill will be expressed only in peaceful and legal ways. And they offered prayers for ways to fix the broken immigration system.
And one of those bishops in Arizona is Gerald Kakanis. He's the vice president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. He's a man who knows firsthand what is at stake. His diocese, the Diocese of Tucson, runs along the border between the United States and Mexico. We spoke with him earlier in the week before the judge blocked some key parts of the law. Bishop Kakanis, thank you so much for joining us here on Currents today. We really appreciate your time, sir.
Good to be with you, Matt.
Well, you recently spoke before a subcommittee in Washington, D.C., a House subcommittee on immigration about this very issue. Tell me, just if you will, briefly what you told the subcommittee and what is kind of the USCCB position on the immigration issue.
Well, the Conference of Bishops is very interested to prod and advocate for comprehensive immigration policy reform. This is what we believe would be the true answer to border security. We are encouraging comprehensive immigration policy that would have a process for an earned pathway to legalization. That's not amnesty, but an earned pathway for people who are in the country illegally. The process would have some kind of proportionate consequences for the act of illegal entry, something like including fines or learning English or going to the back of the line. Our hope is that comprehensive immigration policy would have a worker program to allow workers to come to this country legally and a worker rights protection program. And also that there be a more facile way to unite families that for the present time are separated for long periods of time, which is a deep concern. Our hope, too, is that there would be binational efforts to try to improve the economy of sending countries, because many people don't want to leave their country. They'd prefer to stay at home where they are in the culture where they have grown up. And if the economic situations in sending countries could be improved, there would be less of a desire or interest in migrating.
Right. Now, some people might have the perception that the Bishops' Conference is maybe somehow in support of illegal immigration or in support of amnesty or something like that. You mentioned the clarification there just a moment ago about the earned path to citizenship that the USCCB does support not being amnesty. Why do you think there are those perceptions out there about what the USCCB actually proposes here?
Well, I think some groups like to characterize the position of the conference as being for open borders, being for amnesty, being for illegal immigration. These are catchwords that really do not catch what the bishops are truly trying to say. The bishops realize the right of countries to protect their borders, the need for countries to know who is in their country. We are not for open borders. The bishops are not for illegal immigration. Illegal immigration isn't good for people crossing the desert at risk of their own lives. It's not good for a country not to know who is in its country. And the bishops are not for amnesty. There ought to be penalties for illegal entry into the country, but those should be workable and achievable. And so I think a lot of times blogs and radio shows and so on try to characterize the positions of those encouraging comprehensive immigration policy in a way that it really is not the intention. And so I think it's important for the conference, for the church, for those who support comprehensive immigration policy to explain clearly what is being asked for and why it would improve our situation.
Now, this is something, too, that you see firsthand right there in Arizona. I mean, you are the Bishop of Tucson, so you're right there along the U.S.-Mexico border.
This is the epicenter of immigration, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you're right there along kind of, yeah, as you said, the epicenter of all this. What do you see there? I mean, what is the impact of SB 1070 on the people right there that you come in contact with every day?
Well, SB 1070 came about because of the frustration of people and the fears that people have. There are issues along the border that do need to be addressed, whether it's drug smuggling, human trafficking, weapons smuggling. These are violence. These are serious issues along the border, and they need to be addressed. Our concern about Senate Bill 1070 is it's not going to address border security. What it may result in is the breakup of families where there is perhaps one parent who is a citizen and the other who is not, where there are children whose parents are not legal or children who were brought to this country by their parents. and have never lived anywhere else but here in the United States. They do not speak Spanish. The fear that is that Senate Bill 1070 will result in the breakup of families and make it even harder for immigrant families to report crimes out of fear. The true answer to the concerns that led to Senate Bill 1070 is comprehensive immigration policy reform, which would then allow our border security to focus on the true issues around border security, which is drug trafficking and human trafficking, weapons smuggling, and the violence that sometimes exists by people who are entering the country with nefarious purposes.
All right. Bishop Gerald Kincanis with the USCCB, also the Bishop of Tucson, Arizona. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. Wish we had more time to spend with you because, of course, this is an issue we could talk about all day long, but we are just out of time. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, let me know if I can help again.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Well, as he said, he's really at the epicenter of this debate. And, you know, as the bishop, he said, we are for the earned path to citizenship, not just open borders or complete amnesty. There's a lot of misconceptions out there that he said have been often propagated on, as he said, you know, radio talk shows or blogs or whatever. So it's good to know specifically where he stands on the issue.
Yeah, and you get a lot of specifics in there as well. And as I mentioned at the beginning of that interview, he did address a House subcommittee on it. So legislators in Washington know exactly where the Bishops' Conference stands as well. So they're trying to get the word out there about that and clear up some of those misconceptions.
Well, we'll be right back. But first, some more thoughts on immigration from a biblical perspective.
God teaches us to treat individuals all individuals with respect, dignity, and love.
We should be loving each other as Christ has called us.
You know, faith really doesn't believe in borders.
Would Jesus want this? He'd have his arms outstretched.
Well, we should treat each other as brothers and sisters, as the Bible tells us. Immigrants are our brothers and sisters.
We are all immigrants. In God's eyes, we're all created equal.
I could definitely think that the church should oppose this and Christian people should.
As we've seen tonight, people here in New York have spoken out very passionately about Arizona's new immigration law. We started things off by showing you what protesters in Manhattan had to say about it.
Well, we wrap things up tonight with more people making their voices heard in Arizona. People of faith gathered at a church early this morning in Arizona to protest the state's new immigration law, which took effect today. Marchers headed to the state capitol carrying banners calling for a repeal of SB 1070. Faith leaders around the state organized rallies that are scheduled to continue into the weekend. The purpose, they say, is to call on Congress to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Other protesters were bussed in from out of state, like this bus caravan heading from Los Angeles to Phoenix. All of this despite the fact that a judge Wednesday blocked the most controversial parts of the law, a move that raised tensions on both sides of the issue.
Now they've got this temporary injunction. They need to step up, the feds do, and do the job that they have the responsibility to do for the people of America and for the people of Arizona.
This law would not have made that border more secure at all. Today, the border is more secure, depending on how you define security, than it ever has been. We still have some horrible crimes committed along the border by people from Mexico. There's no question about it.
They violated a law. They should go to jail and do their time if they're convicted, and then we turn them over to ICE. Why should we give them a pass just because they're here illegally?
Brooklyn's own Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio has waded into the issue as well, calling not only for comprehensive immigration reform, but also for respect for every human being.
All Catholic social teaching is based on the dignity of the human person. Every person needs to have some status in a society. Now, unfortunately, many of these people came here without any status. They were drawn by work. And now they have no way of accessing the good things of our society. They contribute their work and they live in houses and pay rent. Some of them even buy houses. They contribute, they pay their taxes, contrary to what the myths around immigration are about.
For Arizona and the federal government, there are many legal hurdles still to overcome, and the fight is far from over.
Obviously, it's a little bump in the road, I believe, and that, until I get my whole arms around it, we don't really exactly know where we're going to go. This is an injunction. They haven't heard really the merits of the bill. This is just an injunction, a temporary injunction.
But protesters like these people of faith have heard enough, and they want action. Well, it is a very difficult issue that a lot of people are trying to wrap their heads around it, and I mean, something that I think a lot of people are conflicted about, because you do want to have safety and security in your home country, of course, but you also, if you're a Christian anyway, as Bishop DiMarzio was saying there, the dignity of the human person is something that needs to be paramount.
Certainly, one of the things that tugs at my heartstrings about this is when families are threatened and families are forced to be separated in order to comply with any, given particular law, and it's really difficult to see any of that. We've heard of deportations and things, and I really think it's one of those debates that truly tugs at the heartstrings of a lot of people, and they're very visceral and vehement about their positions that they have on the issue.
Right, and something else that Bishop DiMarzio had said too was that the real battle over this is in the workplace, not at the borders, that the security of the workplace is something that is very important when you're talking about this issue as well.
The economics of it.
Right, absolutely.
Well, that is it for tonight. Coming up tomorrow, Lights, Camera, Action. We'll talk to an Academy Award-winning actor about his critically acclaimed film and the spiritual aspects of it.
In the meantime, though, remember, we're always online at currentsny.net. And if you have an idea for a story, maybe you just want to get in touch with us, you can drop us a line at it's all one word, at currentsny.net. Until next time, I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great night.